Enter Peter Parker. A horny teenager had that. Enter Peter Parker, a horny teenager that has no girls. Same can be said about his friend, but he got game and parents, especially a rich dad, who turns out to be something of a scientist himself. Anyways, we start off on a school trip where Peter proceeds to unshamedly take pictures of his future girl for later when a radioactive spider juices his DNA up. Come home and he just falls into a coma. But the juice kept tampering with his genetics, and by next morning he started seeing clearly and was buff as hell. Let's get back to the scientist. He's a military weapon creator or something, I don't know, and personally I don't care. So motherfucker got rejected by the military because the madman tried to recommend a serum to the military that had failed one of the tests. Unfortunately for him, the military gave him barely any time to rework and retest the serum, so he juiced himself and killed his lab partner. Accidentally, of course, since the juice made him super aggressive and 800% stronger than the drip lord already was. Now with the other juice person. Peter has gone to school, and at lunch he has single-handedly created the most awkward conversation to watch and listen to. The guy looked at the girl of his dreams and he just stared deeply into her eyes until she wanted to kill herself. Back to the story. He had realized he can shoot webs like a...
Wait, he can shoot webs?
Yeah. You didn't know that? Oh yeah, of course you didn't.
Where does it come from?
Where do you think it comes from?
I don't know, his ass? It could come out of anywhere.
You have a good point. But no, it doesn't come out of his ass. Actually, like, it comes out of their wrists. Like, two of them have just spider guns. they just attach it to their hands. And the one we're talking about right now just has like wrist semen.
Wrist semen?
And he just it just comes out of his wrist, you know? Just let me get back to my story. Don't interrupt me, please. You kinda annoying. So, he had realized he can shoot webs like a spider and decided to do a bit... He had realized he can shoot webs like a spider and decided to do a little bit of trolling. By trolling, I mean beat the shit of his bully and run away just to do the funny on top of a rooftop. The sudden revelation that he had superpowers gave him a confidence boost.
Stop lecturing me, please.
But not cash money. So he went along with a wrestling ad that said he could win 3,000 money.
There's no featherweight division here, small fry.
No, sign me up.
That is 3,000 if he stayed in the ring for 3 minutes, which he didn't because he beat the shit out of the enemy. Since he didn't get the lay for his accomplishment, he pulled an Uno reverse card on the owner of the wrestling club by not stopping a robbery at the place.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
But he got Uno reverse carded by having his uncle Ben shot by the robber. Very sad times. Interrupted by a badass chasing and killing of the robber by Peter.
Snake, are you okay? Snake?
Not the most sane thing, but in the heat of the moment, Peter was driven by grief. Anyways, Peter graduates, and during that, he basically gets told by William Dripfo that he could be basically his stepdad. Prior to this, right after the killing of the robber, we got to see evil Dripfo's side pull on the military he was working with. I think we're starting to get a villain in this movie. And the same could be said for a hero, because Spider-Man is now a vigilante out on the street saving lives for free, but still hated by none other than JoJo himself. That's right, John Jonah Jameson is a JoJo, confirmed, no other source needed apart from a Joe and another Joe.
Wait, no, that's not Joe, that's Omni-Man.
Problem?
Yes.
Disregarding his hate for Spider-Man, he did get a lot of cash money from selling front-page Spider-Man articles, but MJ didn't. You see, dreams and reality aren't always the same thing and aren't easy to get to. So one day Peter saw her after work, and that is when he found out that his friend Harry Osborn, son of Norman Osborn, has got more game than him. Back at JoJo's, Peter gives John these suspiciously high-quality photos of Spider-Man, since earlier on there was an offer for money in return of good photos, so he gets paid 1,304.70 lei, which is 300 American dollars, for these stunning photos, and we turn back our attention to the drip. Osborn, the owner of Oscorp, performs a meme while his colleagues sell his company. This makes him angry, so in turn he decides to bomb them. On a special occasion, obviously. The day is sunny. and the drippy green goblin comes through the sky and blows up the balcony with a sun on it. To be honest, not the most rational decision, but who cares? He's in a mask and he's under the juice again. All of this damage, but in return we got possibly the best CGI moment in history. Followed by Spider-Man disarming the Menace's glider and doing what Garfield couldn't, saved his baby girl. A bit later in the movie, we get to find out that Norman has got quite literally a split personality. One is a scientist and the other a crazy psychopath who does what the first would have wanted to do but never had the guts to. They talk it out, and in the next scene, they capture Spider-Man with a sleeping thingy and give an amazingly written speech about heroes and society, and in the end leaves him with an option: join him and be a bad boy, or don't and keep fighting and destroying infrastructures everywhere. Surely enough, he chose the latter. The city though had started hating him after the propaganda that JoJo started spreading about Spider-Man, saying that he is a terrorist of sorts. But nothing can stop our fearless horny hero to finally get his girl. That's right, he saves her another time and gets his reward kiss. This obviously gets his spirits up until sometime later when the Green Goblin burns down a building and then pretends to be a woman to lure Spidey in and gets beaten the shit out of himself This obviously gets his spirits up until sometime later when the Goblin burns down a building and then pretends to be a woman to lure Spidey in and then gets beaten the shit out of himself and rejected on his proposal the second time in this movie. Immediately after this encounter was Thanksgiving lunch, where everything went wrong. Norman finally put 2 plus 2 together, and Harry got broken up with MJ because of his dad. His dad, on the other hand, went home and did some sort of ritual to make a plan to destroy Peter. His first plan of action? Bombing the house of an elderly woman.
Wait, what?
Shut the f up, man. Just let me continue. You've already interrupted me twice. Oh my god. Thing is, that woman, or rather elderly woman, was none other than Aunt May. It was a way to break Peter from the inside and let him know that he knows who he truly is. Peter figures it out, but not who the Goblin is. And then MJ finally falls in love with Peter, and that breaks Harry's heart, but I could not care less. But his dad could care a lot, because this breakup leads to the Green Goblin knowing that Spider-Man's most prized possession is Mary Jane Watson. So now comes his second plan of action: kidnap a high school graduate. And thus the final showdown begins. The Green Goblin brings Peter to some bridge. I don't know the name, I'm not cultured, and he gives him an option: save a wagon of kids or MJ. Being the Giga Chat he is, he just saves both. The next moment in the final battle, Dripborn takes him to some old mansion and absolutely beats the shit out of him until he talks about how he's gonna kill MJ later on, which lights up this rage in Peter, and he slams a 2-foot wide brick wall on top of the Green Goblin. Then when the Green Goblin got up, he got beaten the living hell out of him until the actual good scientist woke up and started trying to reconcile with Spider-Man. But that didn't last long, since the Green Goblin, part of him, woke up seconds later and tried to attack Spider-Man from behind with a remote control glider with razor sharp knives going at full speed right at his back. But a spidey sense kicked in and he just avoided the attack, but at the cost of the glider killing Norman Osborn, since his avoiding just opened up a clear path towards Osborn, who couldn't avoid it. Peter brings his dead corpse back to his house, and a funeral was held a few days later where Peter and MJ finally get together and make out. So in conclusion, Peter gets a hard-earned W and Green Goblin an L. A W though that lasts like 30 seconds because the motherfucker had to friendzone MJ. Basically, Peter is stupid as shit.